All right, we're live. Welcome to episode 37 of the Pro Go Baduk Weiqi Podcast. I'm Shao Dai, and we have again
Gaza.
Gaza. All right. There was some excitement there. Gaza, this is a huge week. I think there's an elephant in the room that we have to address, but I think we want to keep the suspense a little bit and just cover what the big international tournament this week, which was the Chunlan Cup, the return of the Chunlan Cup, or not to say the return of the Chunlan Cup, but more like the quarterfinal of the Chunlan Cup to the semifinals.
The Chunlan Cup, yes.
Mate,
And this one was. Wait, were you about to say something?
No, I was just going to say it was much anticipated for one big reason.
One big reason. I was actually about to say the same thing.
Right.
I was looking forward to this Chunlan Cup.
Yeah.
Because Ke Jie and Shin Jinseo were going to play in the quarterfinals.
Unbelievable. Now, before this game, Gaza, apparently it was Shin Jinseo and Ke Jie have played 6 times since the Samsung Cup. Samsung Cup final where Ke Jie beat Shin Jinseo 2-0, and there was the
That was in 2020.
Yeah, and there was the famous miss kick. And out of this 6 games, guess how many games have Ke Jie won?
I do recall he won in the Jar Leg last year.
Yeah.
I can't recall. I honestly can't recall another time that he's won, so I'm gonna have to say 1.
Yeah, correct. He's only won 1, so that's a fairly lopsided result. And
However,
before
it
this
should
game,
be pointed out, Ke Jie still has a winning record over his career against Shin Jinseo of 11 wins and 8 losses before the quarterfinal.
Right. But I think the other thing to keep in mind is that Ke Jie has lost to Shin Jinseo 3 games in a row before this game.
Yes, he lost in the Jar Leg this year, in the Dingxin Cup, and then last year he lost in the LG Cup semi-final.
Yeah, crazy. So, although people were looking forward to it, I kind of sense that people weren't really putting too much hope into Ke Jie. But so let's see what's actually happened, Gaza. So this is some pictures on the game. So Shin Jinseo he's very serious. Some fans have noted that Ke Jie is starting to lose some hair from the back. Apparently this is happening, but I'm not really sure. This is Minjun. And then Minjun, I do believe, have played. I can't believe who he played actually. Li Weixing.
He played against Tang Weixing. I'm pretty sure Shin Minjun was playing against Tang Weixing.
Yep. Shin Minjun was playing Tang Weixing, and then Byun Sangil was playing Li Weixing, and there was Li Xuanhao playing Yang Dingxin, which I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about a bit later.
Are they playing in the same room? It looks like
yes, they are playing in the same room. They are playing in the same room. I think there's a picture where they are showing like this. This is the, and I do believe there was some issue with the camera in China, so some of the games are not live streamed.
I find that often happens. I found that often happened in other tournaments, international tournaments involving Chinese players, notably the I think the Senko Cup.
Yep.
The women's international tournament. Often the Chinese players, you never see the live streams.
Right.
Of the Chinese players in the Senko Cup, I've noticed, but a lot of the other ones, like the Dingxin Cup, and I definitely recall the Chunlan Cup final last year. There was definitely live streams.
Yeah.
Of the players.
Yeah.
But it seems to happen some of the time that you don't get live streams from the Chinese players. But oh well.
Yeah. Oh well. Now let's just quickly go through the other 3 game results. So Shin Minjun played Tang Weixing. So Tang Weixing ended up beating Shin Minjun, and Shin Minjun's basically his whole group was dead. And he kept kind of playing for a while, but it was plain to see that there was not much hope left in there. I'm not going to go through the key for except when I show you the end game state. So in this game, Tang Weixing is white, Shin Minjun is black. You can see here this whole black group just died.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was not a good one for.
So wait, so that okay, so
and this black group's dead as well.
The top left is a pretty That's a Joseki.
Yeah.
The top left, it's a Seki, but I've seen that a few times in pro games.
Yeah,
That
I think it's called the Mies flying dagger, or sometimes people just call it the flying dagger. It's a very complicated Joseki that kind of just appeared after AI. Yeah. So I think Shin Jinseo also played this Joseki as well.
oh, it's a very. I didn't realize it was a variation of the flying dagger.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's all fine. They're just so complicated.
Yeah, it's all. This is all theory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this
but
is just
it is very delicate. Like
yeah. I think one move wrong, it's you're gone, and yeah. So that was a very very very. But anyway, it was a good game for Tang Weixing. And in the other games, we have Yang Dingxin playing Li Xuanhao. Now, Li Xuanhao is already ranked as high as a number 2 in China. And in December, in the unofficial December rankings, he's almost taken over Ke Jie. So he's almost there. Yeah. Yeah. So
do we have the Kifu for this one?
we have the Kifu,
I have
but
to admit I didn't watch this game.
again, I didn't really look at it this much. I think I would recommend people who want to look at this Kifu to go through this Kifu. The impression I got from this Kifu was that this is a very aesthetically beautiful game, in that there wasn't that much fighting, but both players just played out the kind of measured moves, and I just remember thinking, wow, this is actually really beautiful to look at. But I encourage you to go through the game. But yeah, like the way the Tanuki let other people take the stones, and they still ended up doing quite well. So yeah, look at how beautiful this shape is for black. Just comes out. So yeah, it was a very aesthetically beautiful game. Just how both players played. It was
Lots of no inefficient moves.
Not much crazy fighting, but ended up Li Xuanhao ended up getting the better of Yang Dingxin, and I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about this later on. And then in the other game where Li Weixing played Sangil, it was a reasonably big reversal for Sangil. Because as you can see here, Li Weixing ended up losing by half a point. Of course, this is done in the Chinese scoring system, so we often quote the difference in points in halves. So yeah, if they win by half a point divided by 2, that becomes a quarter. Yeah, and there was basically, I think Li Weixing was leading, and other commentator was saying that Li Weixing was gonna win this. Now this game it's a little bit of a kind of messy kind of game, but it ended up being played all the way to Yosei. And yeah, and basically I believe the mistake happened somewhere around here. I try to fast forward, and basically
I think it was maybe around move 225.
Somewhere around, yep. So somewhere around here. I think apparently this move was not a great move by Li Weixing.
I think it only loses a point.
Yeah, I think they didn't lose very much. I think it's just very tight on liberties. Suspect Li Weixing thought,
and then there was the actual losing move. I believe was a little bit later at move 230. Yes, here. So he should have just connected those two stones.
Right.
Yeah.
So so this is kind of where it gets really subtle about these pro games. Unless you like study the Yosei very intensely, it's really hard to pick out where the mistake was. But I do remember that.
This is all these moves are just Yosei moves that lose a couple of points. Here
and there. And
it's not like a group dying or anything like that.
Yeah. So it's very, very technical, very hard to analyze. But yeah, I do remember the commentator that I watched, Wang Haoyang, saying that he was very surprised about those things here. And kind of things started to go wrong here for Li Weixing. But Byun Sangil just came back from the jaws of death and just played better.
Depth of hell. Yeah.
Depth of hell, yeah. And he's managed to come back versus Li Weixing. Yeah, but let's talk about the big game, which I have over here. This is the big one between Ke Jie and Shin Jinseo. Now, Ke Jie,
can I just start? I was already excited for two reasons. Just already at this point in the game,
right? Because
firstly, what I was pleased to see is that Shin Jinseo was given black. It is true that Shin Jinseo has beaten Ke Jie 5 of the last 6 games, but I believe he's been white for quite a few of those games. Perhaps
Right.
I think maybe in the Nongshim Cup last year he was black,
Mm.
but he's been white quite often, and I definitely thought that if Shin Jinseo was black in a game under Chinese rules, it would be a little bit more exciting. Would you agree with that?
Um, I guess if you're black under Chinese rules, then yeah, you're a little bit of a slight disadvantage. So therefore, it kind of even things out if you play Shin Jinseo. But yeah,
It is. I think it is. I think even the pros say that playing as white is easier,
yeah, I think in
a little
general,
bit.
yeah,
But yes, I was excited to see if Shin Jinseo could win against Ke Jie,
as
as
black,
black. And then this move here, I was excited about because
yeah, this
because Ke Jie
cross,
as white, he didn't play diagonally across, allowing the opportunity for black to play the cross opening, which often gives sort of less peaceful games. You would say
yep,
more
yep,
attacking games. And Shin Jinseo went for it.
yep. So that's a cross opening. I guess it's rarer. Now, so basically, apparently, actually, Ke Jie played pretty well and also pretty aggressively. You can see here how, well, one way to play it is of course for white to extend on the side, but Ke Jie decided to attack this shape here right away, and Sun Yusou played quite calmly, just defend his shape, make sure there's no issues, and then you can see that Ke Jie just take some 3 points, take a few corners, and then this cover over here, and Sun Yusou tries to move out, Ke Jie moves out, and Shin Jinseo takes this vital point over here, and then Ke Jie plays a move to seal black in. So very, 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 very kind of it looks like Ke Jie is going for a particular strategy where he kind of just tries to start fights with Shin Jinseo. If that's how it feels like to me.
Provoke.
Yeah, it
I
provokes
think.
Shin Jinseo into something. And actually, and according to AI, actually Ke Jie's kind of done pretty well. If you look at what's happened here, this black group is just purely running by itself.
Yes. I was
Yeah.
interested to see Shin Jinseo play this move here because I believe instead of trying like squeezing out, he could have played around about there,
Yeah.
get a
Yeah.
little bit of space, but then get sealed off, right?
Yeah, so this will be huge for white, because all of this becomes territory, and yeah, and then blacks here isn't really territory yet, like just example, just things like that, and also
Yes,
things like
yes.
that. It's
He
just
doesn't have the base,
yeah, it's very very annoying. So
and
yes,
that is Shin Jinso's like the move that Shin Jinso played. Like that is his style. Like he's he's willing to deal with just about any any
yeah,
group of
yeah,
stones. He seems to make any almost everything live, and not only live but but profitable. But yeah, after Ke Jie played, responded by playing on the left.
yeah.
I was very curious to see how Shin Jinseo could make anything out of that group of stones at the top left.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, like I wouldn't really expect the pros to have their stones die. I guess Black Hat now
No,
has
but I mean, no, I certainly, yeah, certainly, I'm sure that strong pros could make these stones live, but how do you make it? Yeah, I guess a move like that sort of connection, but how do you make it live and make it efficient
yeah.
as well?
100%. So that's why kind of AI already likes White's position as well, and I also like White's position at this point. So it seems like and then Shinjin just have to come down here because then I guess this puts pressure on the corner, and he kind of can make an extension on the side. So there's actually 2 ways for Ke Jie to play it. Going to the commentary, one is to take away the eyes on this side. The other way, of course, is what's happened in the game, which is to take away the eyes from this side. Now, apparently, taking away the eyes from this side is actually better. Just because that what happened in the game was that when black extended, now these black stones here is kind of helping these black stones more than if Ke Jie had chosen to get rid of the eyes over here. But anyway, that's actually what happened. Now AI's got a very interesting suggestion here, which is that AI just suggests that blacks should just kind of just attach over here and just trying to live. This doesn't work for white because black have this cut over here.
Nice.
Yeah, but Shin Jinseo didn't do that. Shin Jinseo wanted to play more aggressively, and so there's nothing that Ke Jie can do except to fight. So up to here, so Ke Jie just played a move to get rid of the eyes to make it harder for black to make eye shape. And then at this point, this is a very interesting move because obviously this is very. It's not a very efficient shape. It's an odd shape. You can, but I think the commentators also understood why Ke Jie did this, but this lose Ke Jie quite a few points in terms of the AI. So I think Ke Jie wants to come out and prevent things like this from happening. I think this is just enough to kill this one. So black can't move out those stones. But I think according to AI, Ke Jie is better off just playing like this more simply. And and then now this one stone, cutting stone, is kind of a bit light. I think even if black captures this one stone, black still doesn't have any eye. If you think about it like that. So, but anyway, this is kind of Zhou Yang in his commentary said this is where things started to go wrong for Ke Jie, and I think you can see from the AI graph that that's kind of what's happened. So Shin Jinseo played quite nicely here. He just jumps out, and Ke Jie tries to make a dumpling of Shin Jinseo, which he succeeded. So again, I think one of the interesting thing is that when I looked at this move, I would have thought that maybe Ke Jie would play elsewhere, like maybe just get rid of maybe something like that. Maybe, I'm not sure, but definitely connecting does seem that it's a bit too heavy. But I watched one of the pro commentaries, and he did say that this connection looks plausible even from a pro's perspective. So it's hard to say. I think without AI, it's hard to say, but it does look a little bit too heavy. But pros think it's playable. But Ke Jie just decided to make a dumpling of Shin Jinseo. But I guess the issue is once you made a dumpling of Shin Jinseo, he also has two groups that are a bit tight on liberty, and maybe one group is running. And up to here, it's still 50-50. Now, this is supposedly Ke Jie's big mistake, and this is a really good move that's spotted by Shin Jinseo. Now, obviously, without this move, then this peep is could cause trouble for black later on. But now after this move, it's like a nice bamboo jump, so this peep is no longer a problem. Of course, this is aiming at the cut.
Yeah, it's also aiming at the cut. Yeah.
But according to the commentary that I've read, this is basically Ke Jie's biggest mistake in the game. And you'll see actually what happened, why it's a mistake. Because currently
the move that he plays after this, right?
After this, yeah. Because Ke Jie's got one group here, and then these stones are disconnected but kind of connected. But let's look at what happens after. But Ke Jie decided to protect his cut because he doesn't want to give any thing for black to leverage on in terms of easier to make eyes over here. So he just protects his cut, but that was a huge mistake. Because look how beautiful Shin Jinseo play. He pushed first, and then Atari. Of course, you thought that after you push, you cut next. No. He plays it in the right order, Atari, and then he disconnect. Now look, now Ke Jie is in three parts. 1, 2, 3, disconnected.
Those two groups in the middle are actually now disconnected.
Yeah,
incredible.
So I think what people were suggesting that was just for Ke Jie to play here. That kind of ensures that at least the stones are connected. So it's not easy for black to cut him off. But whatever the reason is, Shin Jinseo just plays so beautifully here that now Ke Jie is in a little bit of trouble because these stones are hard to save now. And this group actually isn't fully alive yet, so there could be some issues. So even though Ke Jie started quite well, leading by quite a bit, by this time it's already quite behind, and Ke Jie is trying really hard to get something out of this at this point. But what's happened was that eventually Ke Jie decided to invade here as well, and he even decided to push down, and people was thinking, wow, this is getting a bit crazy. So basically Ke Jie have to live and destroy all of Black's territory here in order to win. But that's really not what happened. After Ke Jie spent a couple of moves here capturing these stones, they kind of started a fight over here, and I think Ke Jie did reasonably well, but I think most pros watching this were saying that Ke Jie don't really have a chance, because by making this group alive, Ke Jie actually ended up losing the group over here. So and basically Ke Jie was in such a situation that he can't actually lose any group, but you notice that this group ended up dying, but White ended up losing here. And then Shin Jinseo is able to get more points out of the corner as well, and that's when Ke Jie resigned. Just Ke Jie just don't have nearly enough. So unfortunately for Ke Jie, this is consecutive loss number 4, and have gone 6-1 versus Shin Jinseo in the last 7 games. So not a good look for the Chinese number 1.
Also, this, I believe, just against anyone. This is actually Ke Jie's 5th loss in a row.
Yeah, that's crazy. Huh?
That's insane. Like, when Shin Jinseo loses twice in a row, it's considered crazy. And back when Ke Jie was, winning world titles, it would be unfathomable for him to lose 5 games in a row.
Yeah,
and that's against 5 different players as well.
Yeah. So before 2020, that would be like unfathomable. I don't know if Ke Jie has ever had such a bad run before this year, but not sure. Yeah, so that's a bit of a bad news for Ke Jie, but congrats to Shin Jinseo, who's made it to the semi-final. So basically,
and just want to also mention that these games in the quarterfinal were played on Monday.
Yeah. So they had a rest day, and then the day later they had to do the draw, and it just so happens that another much anticipated matchup was drawn, in that Li Xuanhao was drawn against Shin Jinseo, and Sangil is drawn against Tang Weixing. In the last Chunlan Cup, the final was played between Shin Jinseo and Tang Weixing. So given this draw, we could see a repeat of last year's final. But I guess Shin Jinseo have to get past Li Xuanhao first, and Tang Weixing have to get past Byun Sangil first.
Yes, there was a 50% chance that Shin Jinseo was going to face Li Xuanhao, because if they're they try to avoid matchups of players from the same country, if possible. Obviously, in the quarterfinals, there were 5 Chinese players, so there had to be one quarterfinal that was both players being Chinese.
Yeah.
But in this case, since there's 2 Chinese, 2 Koreans, it was always going to be, each semi-final was going to be 1 Chinese player versus a Korean player.
Yeah, and of course Li Xuanhao being the informed Chinese player, and also his risen up to number 2 in the Chinese ranking. So this is, people thought maybe after Ke Jie, Li Xuanhao is the best hope for the Chinese against Shin Jinseo.
I think many people would have said, even if you include Ke Jie, Li Xuanhao is still the best hope, because Ke Jie is officially he's number 1 in the Chinese rankings, but I think a lot of people would argue that he's not the best Chinese player at the moment.
And I think if you look at the Go ratings now, you see that Li Xuanhao actually ranks above Ke Jie in Go ratings, and in another rating, of course, Ke Jie is down to 13th spot in the world already. So yeah, definitely Li Xuanhao is on the rise, and Ke Jie is a little bit on a decline. But
Yes.
this game was therefore very highly anticipated, and this game will also form the backbone of a story that we'll cover later, the elephant in the room. Now in this game, Shin Jinseo is black again, Li Xuanhao is white, and again they play out the Mi's flying dagger. And this is a very interesting sequence that Shin Jinseo played over here, because all up to here I believe it's all normal. Now this attachment is not normal. I mean, not normal meaning that normally I do believe that black is meant to play something like this, maybe, if I remember correctly. But yeah, something like that. Yeah, but
I got the impression that Shin Jinseo planned this move,
right.
or he'd studied this move. Like
Yes.
this wasn't just something that he came up with in the game.
Yeah. And Gaza, there's good evidence for that, because apparently Shin Jinseo had only spent 1 minute on this, and when he played this, Li Xuanhao got into a little bit of a deep think, and I think at some point in the game it was after somewhere around here that it was the time that was used was the Shin Jinseo 1 minute and then Li Xuanhao 16 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
But definitely what they have said is that because the Mi's flying dagger is known to be very complicated, so they were kind of seeing whose research in this is deeper. And I watched the pro commentary when they played here. I guess since this is a little bit of like a new move, maybe Li Xuanhao didn't know what was happening, so Li Xuanhao played it safe and just extended. But I guess normally you would, against its attachment, you would think about like the harness, either up or the other one. But he maybe he wasn't sure, so he extended. And then Shin Jinseo extended, and then he decided, okay, enough is enough. I'm gonna just capture these stones here. But I think even after this capture, they were still quite even. So it's about 50-50. So maybe because black starts off slightly worse, so if it's 50-50, then black has gained a little bit. So maybe Shin Jinseo has researched this, and he's gained a very tiny advantage, if any, from this sequence. But they keep playing. This is all fairly normal. And then this move over here was a little bit surprising for many of the commentaries that I've read. And the reason is, you look at the purpose of this move, I think it's aimed at preventing this from running out, the ladder. But the thing was, now imagine if this black did run out. Now apparently pros didn't think this is such a big deal, because obviously these two stones are okay, and this one maybe you can just play something like Tiger's Mouth, or maybe Atari and then Tiger's Mouth kind of thing. It's you can both sides can have room to move, so it's not such a big deal that if black runs out. But Li Xuanhao played here. And it is on the 6th line as well. So this is a little bit surprising move. But guess what? This is AI's first choice, apparently. So this move not only surprised the pros, but it was also AI's first choice.
Good move.
And then Shin Jinseo played this move. So I think perhaps both players think that moving out this one stone is quite big. So Shin Jinseo played here, and Li Xuanhao, and then so they eventually did run out. There was this black. So no big issues so far. Now Shin Jinseo decides to do this Hane over here, and apparently pros really love this move by white. And apparently this is because white can have this move and just kill. And now to save the corner, this is black's only move, so black can come out. But this kind of things it works out better for white, I believe. Like for example, something like this, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Maybe. I mean, I can't remember the exact sequence, but maybe.
That looks pretty good for white.
But I'm not sure if this is actually maybe a strong player looking at this sequence would be like laughing really loud. But just based on just some off the cuff plays for me. But anyway, so this is not good for black so far, and I think it gets even worse. So I think Li Xuanhao just played perfectly. I think none of white group's stones are in trouble. And then this card is just really briefly played, almost like the beginning of Li Xuanhao's victory victory lap. But okay, maybe a bit premature. But yeah, this I thought this was a very beautiful move, because obviously when black stays here, it's kind of expecting a reaction from white over here. But white just ignored it and kind of played here, and yeah, and now black's in a little bit of a trouble. But anyway, and then this is very odd, because a lot of pros thought, what is Shin Jinseo doing? Why is Shin Jinseo playing 2 moves and then just giving up on it, and then letting white play here to get all of this? But I think Shin Jinseo was trying to make some of the moves on top, like Sente, like later on, like when he did that, he wanted to make this, ensure that this move is Sente, so he kind of just gave up a bunch of things here. And around this point, I do believe that in Zhou Youyang's stream, he said something very curious, Gaza. He said something along the lines of, he doesn't like commentating on Li Xuanhao's games, because he could be playing out a bunch of variations, but Li Xuanhao somehow always ends up playing the first choice by AI. So yeah, so maybe there's some hidden meaning in that, but apparently this move, this extend was the first choice by AI. So maybe you want to read a bit deeper into it, but yeah, it's but this is but after here, I found this play by Shin Jinseo very strange, or Li Xuanhao had like incredibly deep reading, because look at what Shin Jinseo is doing as black here. He pushes a bunch of times, right, like 3 times, and every time white just answered. Obviously, this makes white really solid and gives white a lot of territory, but black obviously is aiming for something like this cut over here. Now, when I looked at this game, I thought, oh, surely white is in a little bit of a trouble. But don't forget that these stones are can be captured, but it just takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 liberties to capture these. But Shin Jinseo invested a lot into this cut, right? A lot. And apparently Li Xuanhao just played perfectly. And Li Xuanhao, in the post-game interview, he attributed this to reading. Like, the reporter literally asked him, like what, when you play this game, like how do you feel? Like, was it just pure intuition or reading? He said he read all this out. He read it out, and he thought that he felt that Shin Jinseo couldn't see this clearly, but he can read this clearly, and that he knew that he wasn't going to be in trouble, and that this Shin Jinseo's sealing in of white isn't really that powerful. So, but anyway, I think white ends up having enough liberties to capture this. So black just took some profit, forcing white to connect. But these black stones are captured, and the thing is, black ended up spending a move to capture these ones. I think, for example, I think here, if you look at this one, if white gets a move here, then actually black doesn't have eyes, so therefore this group is actually not that strong. So black adds a move. That's fine. So that means that this whole sequence ends up being gote for black, so giving white the chance to come in. And at this point, I believe the AI is already suggesting that Li Xuanhao is at 95%. So yeah, Li Xuanhao has gotten a lot of profit, very solid everywhere. So all Li has to do now is just make this white stone group live, and basically he's got the game won, basically. And Li Xuanhao played really reasonably well over here. He just managed to make this group live. But I think this is not the... And I think in the post-game interview, he said that once he's seen that... once he realized that this white group is going to live, he knew that he's pretty well ahead, and it's pretty much won the game. But this is not the end of the story. There's one move here. This move is just quite remarkable. like if you're winning, I just don't know if you would think about even playing here. That's like really deep. And in the post game interview, Li Xuanhao said that he hasn't read out everything with this move, but he just thought that this was doable. And guess what, Gaza? This is also AI's first move, but it's outside of the intuition of a lot of the pros. I think in the live commentary that I saw, Wang Haoyang, he said, well, his first instinct was maybe something like this. Yeah, and this one is definitely looks too deep. But whatever it is, Li Xuanhao had the right sense to play an AI move. But after this, I think Shin Jinseo probably realized that there's not much hope for him. And look how beautifully Li Xuanhao played. It just causes a bit of trouble in the corner. And he's got everything read out perfectly. And with this move is a beautiful move because it actually disconnects this black group from the outside, as you will see. It disconnects both groups. And Shin Jinseo has one last-ditch attempt to confuse things. And when Li Xuanhao Atari, Shin Jinseo resigned and stood up and walked away. So this was, if you look at the AI graph, this, apart from being slightly behind, after being surprised by this move, it was all one-way, basically all one-way traffic for Li Xuanhao. It's basically, I've never seen, in recent memory anyway, Shin Jinseo being so dominated by another player. So this is really crazy.
Yeah. Even in when he lost to Ke Jie in the JAR League last year, that was his most recent time he lost to Ke Jie. That required some trickery on the part of Ke Jie to sort of confuse Shin Jinseo, because Ke Jie was actually losing by quite a bit.
Yeah, because Ke Jie was like down to 10% or below. Yeah.
I would say that perhaps Shin Minjun's games in the Minjun final, were against Shin Jinseo were fairly impressive, but they still got down to Yosei.
Yeah.
And but this one, Shin Jinseo looked mortal.
Yeah.
Which is not something that many players can do.
Yeah. And basically in the pro commentaries, Joe Yang basically said, well, looking at the performance of this game, it looks like Li is at least a class above Shin Jinseo. So there's actually no chance for Shin Jinseo against him. So therefore, after beating Shin Jinseo, Li Xuanhao has basically made the final. Now let's quickly talk about.
This is by the way, this is his first World Major final.
Correct. I believe before this he's made a semi-final before, but this
is I think he'd made a semi-final.
Yeah, so this is his first final. So guys, let's quickly talk about the result of the other game, which is I believe it was Tang Weixing versus Byun Sangil. This is the game.
Yeah.
Now, as you can see in the graph, so Tang Weixing is black, Byun Sangil is white. So I do believe that when Tang Weixing made this jump as black, the commentator, at least Wang Haoyang, he was like, "Whoa, this move is just so clever because it kind of kills white. If Tang Weixing was able to play correctly, and looks like it was at this point after this move, it looked like a bit hopeless for Byun Sangil, because if this could get captured or gets into a code, then it's clearly winning for Tang Weixing. But for whatever reason, Tang Weixing, even in his own Weibo, said that he just had 5 or 6 clear chances to kill this game off, but he just seems to have chosen only the one way that will actually lose him the game. And after the game, he complained about being a bit sick at this time of the game, like complaining about chest pain, and he tested positive to COVID after this game. So maybe it was Tang Weixing just not feeling so well.
Yeah, I think he said all of that contributed to this being his most his worst loss.
Yeah, one of his most painful losses, I think he said, and he listed a few other games where he kind of had lost. And Tang Weixing has got a little bit of a reputation for being able to reverse games. So being reversed like this by Byun Sangil.
He's on the other, getting a taste of his own medicine, but
Yeah. Well, and I
yeah,
hope he gets some medicine.
I feel sorry for him
Yeah.
because he obviously wasn't 100%
Yeah.
physically, which sucks.
Yeah. And I think he said that as I get older, I'm not really sure how many more chances I'll get. And he kind of said that maybe I will not be able to win a fourth major. But this fans commenting, they says, yeah, you will get it. Don't worry about it and stuff like that. So,
But to be honest, you have to think for a player like Tang Weijin, 3 majors is already
way above expectation. Yeah.
Insanely impressive. Like Chen Yaoye has 3 majors, and I would say that Chen Yaoye was a lot more talented.
Right.
Than Tang Weijing.
Right.
Tang Weijing is one of the few players you could say is overachieved.
Yeah, definitely overachieved.
But that being said, he's still a great player.
Yeah, still a good player. One of our friends doesn't like Tang Weixing's style. He just says Tang Weixing his style is just a random bunch of stones on the board and just fight it out. But anyway, that's his style. I like watching his games, but it wasn't a good day for Tang Weixing. So he ended up losing this game, and so Byung Sang-il managed to get past 2 Chinese players with huge reversals. So, and this is also surprisingly Byun's first international major final appearance.
This is his first world major final appearance. Yes. So he has appeared in the Kuksu Mountains International final twice this year when he lost, and last year when he actually won. So he has won an international tournament, but not what you would consider a world major. No. So this will be his first world major, and it will be against another world major debutant. So we're going to get a new world major champion. The last time we got a new world major champion was last year in February, I think, when Shin Minjun won the LG Cup.
Right. Yep. So that's been it's been a while. So
next year, unless Dingxin could be the next one to win his first title, because he'll be playing in the LG Cup final.
Yep.
But otherwise, the Chunlan Cup final will definitely create a new champion.
Interesting you mentioned Dingxin, because what we're going to cover next might see Dingxin win the LG Cup without even have to win a game or even make a move. And
that's no.
And that is the elephant in the room. I don't know what to call it apart from the Yang Dingxin saga. So now we've covered we covered all the games in the Chunlan Cup in the quarterfinal and semifinal. The final will be played next year, I believe in February sometime. But a big bombshell have come out of Yang Dingxin's what's called the Friend Circle, which is part of the WeChat program. And Gaza, I think I'm sure there's a lot of material here that's not been covered in any other English media or social media.
Firstly, what are you talking about? Can we have a little bit of background here? So this is obviously to do with the Chunlan Cup.
Yep. Now the story all started while Li Xuanhao is playing Shin Jinseo. Now,
okay, so this was on the Wednesday.
This is on the Wednesday. So while they're playing, obviously on the platforms that live stream these, in particular Fox, you can comment. And I do believe that if you're a pro, your comments get highlighted in red. So what you see here are basically screen capture of some of the comments that Yang Dingxin have made. Now, basically, some of the comments he said was kind of like, well, it's very lucky for Shin Jinseo to only have met the god, referring to Li Xuanhao, for the first time since 2020.
Yes, that's true. So Shin Jinseo hadn't actually played Li Xuanhao this year until the Chunlan Cup semi-final.
Yeah. So this name over here, this 4-character Chinese name, that's Yang Dingxin's username on this platform. So he said quite a few things. He said, well, it's like versus God Xuan, Shin Jinseo is maybe like the difference is maybe like tens of dans, right? They're just so quick, and if not for the interlude last year, there wouldn't like Shin Jinseo wouldn't be anything. Like there's no championship that would involve Shin Jinseo. So what was that interlude last year? Now, if you remember, on the Pro Weiqi, there was a report of a player supposedly have come out of the females' toilet in a Chinese domestic tournament, and he was actually also body searched, but nothing was found. And that player.
Wait, when last year did this happen?
This was, I believe, part of the Changchi Cup when Ke Jie played Li Xuanhao. So basically the story was Ke Jie was playing Li Xuanhao, and people have noticed that he goes to the toilet a bit too often. So in one of his toilet trips, they've decided to do a surprise body search, but they found nothing on Li Xuanhao. So obviously they were suspecting that Li Xuanhao is cheating with AI. So they have done that. And there was another story where basically Yiling Tao, the player who lost to Ilya Shikshin in one of the Weiqing Cup or something. So he apparently he said that he saw Li Xuanhao near the female toilet, and he was confronted by Li Xuanhao. Li Xuanhao basically confronted him and said, "With which eye did you see me come out of the female toilet?" And then Yiling Tao just said, "Oh, I didn't say I saw you come out of the female toilet. I just said I saw you near the female toilet." And then they twisted the story and all of that. So that was a pretty huge story back then. And one of the most respected, I'm not sure if he's actually respected because people do ridicule him a little bit. One of the most senior Weiqi reporters in China, he did a one-on-one with Li Xuanhao after the incident. And he had some really good things to say about Li Xuanhao. And basically in the interview, Li Xuanhao said people shouldn't spend time speculating on things and we should just let our results speak for themselves. Obviously he was hitting back at people like Ke Jie, who in his post kind of suggested he's maybe potentially is cheating. But whatever it is, all of that backstory aside, this is what the interlude that Yang Dingxin was referring to. Basically, maybe he's suggesting that because of that random search on Li Xuanhao, Li Xuanhao decided to just take his cheating efforts and tone it down a little bit and not to be so easily discovered, and kind of tone down his efforts for a bit. Obviously, we don't know if Li Xuanhao has cheated, but I think that's what he's suggesting here.
So you're saying that while the semi-final is being played at this Chunlan Cup on Wednesday, Yang Dingxin is commenting on one of the servers that's hosting the game, making indirect suggestions that Li Xuanhao is using AI.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's done that. He's just being very sarcastic about it. Like he even said things like, well, I mean, with Xuan God, that's already enough. Everybody else is just, surplus to requirements, So it's like, well, basically suggesting that China only needs to put out this one player and he can win everything, So, however you read into that, it's just a little bit odd. And obviously, people found it odd enough that they have started taking screenshots of what he said. And I think Yang Dingxin even said that because the comments he scrolls so fast, I'll just speak my mind. So he just keeps saying these kind of things. A lot of them looking like very sarcastic comments. Okay, so that was during the game. After the game, the big bombshell came out because, and of course, people have taken screenshots of actually what he said, and it's maybe I don't actually have that over here, but basically what he said, this is literally what he said. Xuanhao, do you dare to play a 20 game series with me? in that series, you're not allowed to go to the toilet. We have proper, controls. Okay, yeah, you're not allowed to go to the toilet. It's untimed, 1 game per day. The match, where the match will be taking place, it will be all signals will be blocked, and then after the games are finished, we'll release the key food for everybody to assess or judge. If I have wrongly accused you, after I play the LG Cup final, I will retire. Do you dare to take on this challenge? Good night. Don't private message me. Please reply in here. So this is his friend circle. So it's friend circle. It's a bit like I don't know what if there's an equivalent in the West, but it's kind of like you have like a bunch of friends. Like maybe like think of it as your Facebook friends, and you post on it, and only those Facebook friends can see this. So yeah, he posted on this on the WeChat platform. Now, after reading this, it should be very clear what Yang Dingxin is really suggesting, right?
Right.
He's basically saying Li Xuanhao have cheated, and when he says, "If I've wrongly accused you," like what is he accusing Li Xuanhao of? Obviously, cheating with AI. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So during the game, he was just making sarcastic comments, which could have been suggesting that Li Xuanhao is just
right,
really unbelievably strong.
Yep.
But then once the game finished, this post made it clear what he's
insinuating.
What he was insinuating. And now you've done a little bit of research here.
Yeah.
On all this has been confirmed, right? That Yang Dingxin has actually written this.
Now, at first, I couldn't really believe that Yang Dingxin would even write anything like this. So I was in a bit of shock and disbelief. So I actually had to ask around. I just went to one of the Weiqi groups that I'm a part of on WeChat. I said, did Yang Dingxin actually say this? So one of the guys who's reasonably well connected, he actually spoke to a few pros and he took some screenshots, which I shall not share. In those screenshots, at least one pro and at least one top amateur player in China, like he will be really well known in China. They both confirmed that they actually saw this on Yang Dingxin's friend circle, right? So that's after that, I'm pretty sure it was confirmed that Yang Dingxin did post this. And obviously, Yang Dingxin afterwards have deleted it. So it's 100% confirmed. This actually did happen. And it's been reported in quite a few places, including in Korea. But to be honest, I haven't found anywhere where they have kind of reported on this. I mean, anywhere meaning any serious media that in China that have picked up on this story, which kind of surprised me. But whatever it is, now Gaza, that's not all. After Yang Dingxin have posted this, you know how you can like a post? So this is who liked this post. We have Ke Jie liking this post. We have Lian Xiao liking this post. We have Gu Lingyi liking this post. We have Wang Haoyang, and we have Chen Yaoye and Jiang Weijie. So these are big names liking this post. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, Ke Jie, Lian Xiao,
Chen Yaoye.
Chen Yaoye. I'm huge fan of Chen Yaoye. So it's like they're some of the top players in China, and just making an accusation like this is obviously quite serious, but even liking it is by you're involving yourself in this sort of dispute, in this saga now.
Now only one player have gone further than liking this, and that's Chen Yaoye. Now this is Chen Yaoye. This is what he said. He said, "I support you," and then he quoted Yang Dingxin's nickname. is that I also feel that his plays are too fake. So obviously meaning Li Xuanhao, and then it goes on to say further, based on my experience with him, if you tell me he has no problems or no issues, I do not believe it. So basically, Chen Yao is weighing in on this, saying that he too also believes that whatever Yang Dingxin is saying is correct. This is pretty big.
I also want to say, obviously, I can't read Chinese, and you're the one that's done all the research. So basically, anything I say is sort of subjective. But I do want to try and give the other facts that I know. So obviously, Yang Dingxin and Li Junhao are both Chinese players.
Yeah.
They're both from the CWA, so they're both sort of Chinese representatives.
Correct.
But not only that, but they also play in the same Jia League team. They're teammates in the Jia League.
Yeah, and Chongqing.
Yeah, Chongqing. That's pretty crazy. That would be like, for instance, a footballer accusing one of their teammates of taking performance-enhancing drugs or something like that. Not an opposing player, but one of their teammates. It's just, it is just quite bizarre.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, but it's also this is, this is a very serious accusation. To accuse someone of cheating is, that it's basically you're accusing someone of disrespecting sort of the integrity of the sport, right? And not playing fairly. And what's so disheartening and what's so disappointing is that one of these either Li Junhao has cheated, or Yang Dingxin is making a false accusation. And either of those things are quite shameful. But the thing is, we don't know which one it is. We don't know who has sort of brought this. And we probably never will know. We'll probably never find out the truth. Of this, and it really is such a shame.
And now, just to add just more information to this, you know how one of the players, Wang Haoyang, he also liked this post. And today, it just came out today, he was interviewed live on a live stream and saying, okay, why did you like this post? He just didn't want to say too much. He just kind of said, oh, my friend posted this, so I just, just a normal like for a friend. And the streamer asked him, well, does this give an advantage to friends that do post versus friends that don't post? And he kind of just didn't really want to say anything further. So that was quite interesting. Obviously, they're referring to the fact that Li Xuanhao until now have not even responded. So that was a little bit interesting detail. Now, I don't know if this Weibo this post here is real or not, but supposedly Yang Dingxin had made a follow-up post, which says, I have received instructions. If I don't follow these instructions, I will not be able to play in the LG Cup final as well. But instead of playing in a 20 game series, I will play in a best of 7 or 7 game series. And if that doesn't go ahead, I will post further info. So I don't know if this tweet is even there or not. But supposedly he's posted something further. And actually, one thing that's very interesting to note, and that's kind of getting into the political space. Yang Dingxin, before he accused Li Xuanhao of cheating, basically, he said that his post before that was like, from today on, I will be honest to myself. I will be someone who's gonna speak my mind. And he talked about how he's part of the White Paper Gang. So the White Paper Gang is basically protesters in China who protest against the lockdown measures of the COVID, and their way of doing that is to hold up a piece of A4 white paper during their protest. So this is kind of getting into political territory as well. So I don't know why Yang Dingxin decides to go into talking about potentially sensitive political topics and accusing a teammate of cheating with AI, and also he doesn't seem to have evidence of this. But anyway, whatever
Yes,
it is.
that is something that
Oh, sorry.
that should be made clear.
Yeah.
He there's no concrete evidence that Li Xuanhao has cheated.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that makes it even well.
Yeah.
That just makes it even more sort of confusing and vague, and
Yeah.
even more likely that we're never really going to get any truth or any sort of resolution from this.
Yep, yep. Now one Yang Dingxin not only posts. Now you know how in on the Fox platform you can actually change the tagline of under your name. So apparently Yang Dingxin's been doing that a lot during that period. And one of the tagline he changed to saying things like, "My contract with Team Chongqing ends in the year 2024. It's still unfinished." So yeah. So, and he also mentioned in some of the posts that he's maybe looking to he doesn't care that the fact that he's part of the same team as Li Xuanhao potentially. Yeah. Now, adding more information to this, remember Jia Huang? He was the part of the AlphaGo team.
Oh yes, yeah, AlphaGo.
Yeah,
I think he was the one that made the moves.
The moves physically, yes.
Yes.
Now, and he was commentate. He made his comment on the Li Xuanhao and Shin Jinseo game, and he said, "Fantastic," or very very enjoyable or whatever. And he says, "Humans can also play can also play Weiqi that's near perfect." So obviously referring to how well Li Xuanhao's done, and then he adds that although AI is very far from perfect still. So he's basically saying that how perfectly Li Xuanhao have played. If you judge it using AI. And of course, this is one of Ke Jie's posts from the past. This is when he had played Li Xuanhao in the Changchi Cup last year, and that's when the toilet random search incident have happened. This is what Ke Jie said. He says, you can't use your own morals to demand others to follow the same kind of moral standards, because when you put them in front of profits, fame, some people will not hold will not draw a line in their morals. But I can only strongly hold these morals myself and believe that the future will be just. So this is the best that I can translate, but it does feel like that Ke Jie is kind of saying that Li Xuanhao, you're cheating, but I will not do it. But that's kind of also, it feels like that's got that tinge of to it. Now, Gaza. So this is already a huge story, but some other pros and some other people have weighed in on this, and one of them is Peng Chuan. Peng Chuan is here. He's made a semi-final of the Weiqing Cup, so he's a famous player in China.
Yes.
And basically, his view on this is, he said, I'll state my point of view. He said, this is the year 2022. Everything is, everything has to be, everything has to abide by the law. Everything have to abide by evidence. If you don't have evidence, please shut up. Right? That's pretty. And then he said, Chinese Weiqi need more positive stories. Right. So that's another pro weighing in. Now we also have, I'm not sure if this is Li Weixing. I suspect it's not, and maybe it's some other person with the name Weixing. Yeah. So I think he basically said that he thinks that Yang Dingxin is not right in the head, for posting this kind of thing. I think this is what he said. He said, not before this, he's got some good feelings towards Yang Dingxin. Now he just think that Yang Dingxin is completely wrong, completely stupid in the head. So this is of course continuing to develop now, basically. And then in the WeChat groups, there's a lot of discussion. I'm part of a couple of Chinese WeChat groups, and they were, they kind of, obviously everyone's in discussion, and supposedly one group came out with irrefutable evidence that Li Xuanhao has cheated, and apparently the evidence was so irrefutable, so people dug deeper and asked, actually, what is the evidence? Now apparently Li Xuanhao has been dabbling in a bit of gambling during the World Cup, the soccer World Cup, the football World Cup, and apparently he's spent all his time recently watching the World Cup gambling. Apparently he's lost hundreds of thousands, so he has no time to train on Weiqi, so therefore he couldn't have played so well. This is the kind of garbage that goes on. So obviously people just completely disregarded that, but this is kind of the things that goes on in this circle, so it's quite crazy. Now I cannot confirm the authenticity of this, but this is just came out today, and this is a chat within the Chinese national team, and this is Yu Bin. He's the national coach of the national team, so he's posted the national team's guidelines or charters or rules or whatever you call it, and he's reminding everyone that in this charter, that if you're part of the national team, you're not allowed to, in the article number 6, spread false information or information that's not been confirmed officially. You're not allowed to bring disrepute to any players or the sports or the national team or any individual player, right? That's very clear. And he goes on to further say, yesterday Yang Dingxin on social media have posted content that is in contradiction to the rules above, and thereby I will name Yang Dingxin and call him out over here, and this matter will be dealt with further. And then he goes on to say, let this be a warning to everyone, do not participate in the discussion, like or make screenshots and send them out. Okay, so this is Yu Bin coming in, clamping in pretty hard on this. Obviously CWA will take action, but we just don't know what it is yet. And this is the funny part. Yang Dingxin supposedly responded below, and this is what he said. He said, Yu Bin, one of my lawyer friends says if I post on Friends Circle, it's not considered social media, because obviously on Friends Circle only your friends can see it.
Yes, that's what I thought. And so the initial post was made on a private social circle.
It's called Friends Circle.
Okay.
Yeah. So only your friends can see it. And then Yu Bin says, well, WeChat, Weibo, WeChat, streaming platforms, and TikTok-like platforms, they're all included. Okay, so therefore, Weixing or WeChat counts. So of course, the Friends Circle is of course part of the WeChat program. So basically, he's told Yang Dingxin that this happens. Now, who is this friend, the lawyer friend that Yang Dingxin is referring to? Now, apparently, Yang Dingxin's father is a reasonably well-known lawyer, and apparently, there's again another huge thread of people talking about how Yang Dingxin's been corrupted by his father. Yang Dingxin's been doing illegal things, for a while, but because he was so young that nobody disciplined him and whatever it is. But yeah, whatever the story is, this is getting quite big. And of course, the CWA and the national team are in the process of handling it. I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Guli would have kind of spoken to both players, because Guli is the coach of the team Chongqing. And I really don't know when the J League restarts, if they're gonna be, how they're gonna face each other. This is gonna be a really difficult topic. Now, some other interesting fake news that have come out is basically someone on the social media he drafted a response or like he drafted like a almost like a press release or some response to this incident. So in that draft, he said Yang Dingxin, accused someone without evidence, and so and also that the place where they play the games have really tight security measures, so it's actually not very likely that someone can cheat. So therefore, they decided to fine Yang Dingxin 100,000 and fine Chen Yaoye 30,000, and all the other players who have liked this will receive disciplinary action. Yeah. So, but that was just fake news. But even that post got shared around quite a bit. Just to show you actually what actually happens in the playing room. So this is the setup.
Yes. So also, obviously, as we said, Yang Dingxin and Li Xuanhao played in the quarterfinal on Monday.
Yeah, right.
And I'm assuming that this accusation from Yang Dingxin, well, it presumably has been it's been brewing in his mind for a while.
Yeah.
But after he lost to Li Xuanhao in the quarterfinal, I guess he just felt that enough was enough in his mind.
Yeah.
And that's when he came out with all these comments and stuff. But yeah, so obviously, even though they're both Chinese and they're actually playing in the same room, they try to have the match conditions to be consistent for all games of the Chunlan Cup.
Yep.
So since some of the games are forced to be played online because the players are in different countries, that means that all of the games in the Chunlan Cup will be played online on computers, even if the players are from the same country.
Yep.
So so they didn't play over the board, but they did play. Yeah, so they did play online, and when they do that, the idea is that they're not meant to have any electronics, and obviously sometimes they have to leave the room to use the bathroom because these are long games. But then when they come back in, at least in Korea, when they come back in, they get scanned,
right,
for any electronics. Yes.
Now, this I've seen a post, which is the one posted here, that apparently the obviously AI has been strong in chess and Chinese chess, Shangqi. So other similar board game sports have had this anti-cheating measure put in place, and for the research for this episode, I actually went back and listened to all the podcast episodes by this Chinese Weiqi reporter on anything to do with AI and cheating. Now he was very critical of some of the measures that the CWA puts in place to prevent cheating. Now apparently the measures are applied really laxly. So for example, they would maybe scan you when you come in. They actually make you hand over one phone, but they don't go on and further check whether you have other phones on you. So this is actually really strange. So his comment was that the measures that CWA puts in place are only able to prevent gentlemen from cheating. Like if you are a total cheat, you can find some way to cheat. Basically, that's kind of what he says. But that I checked that episode. That was maybe almost a year ago, so maybe it may or may not be true as of today. Now, this is a measure from I don't know who this person is, but he kind of gave 4 recommendations for how to prevent cheating. One is do not relay the games live, like have a delay of 10 moves also. So I don't know how that's going to work if people can literally spend like an hour on one move, so it's a bit tough. But whatever it is. And it says second is in the playing room, make sure you have signal blockers. Strengthen the controls for cell phones and have monitoring in the toilets. And number 4, do not publicize the room in which the games will be played prior to the game. So these are some of the measures. But he goes on to say that actually it's not that hard to cheat, because if you want to, all you have to do to get past this measure is to have someone sit at the games, I guess, and can look at the Kifu live, and you only need to have a short range communication device, and the person can have a listening device that's kind of so tiny that it can just sit in the ear and undetectable, and you can just relay moves to the person playing. And I think part of the reason why people suspect this of Li Xuanhao is because I do believe Li Xuanhao come from a very well-off family. I believe his family has mines in China. So he's come from a very well-off family. So maybe he's definitely got the resources to pull something like this off. But this is really like going to crazy town. But definitely it is true that a number of people have criticized the measures that CWA have put in place, and they're just not strong enough. So that's another side to it.
Yes, also, well, I guess with the CWA, of course, we don't get a lot of information from them.
Yeah, if any.
Directly, yeah. So it's hard to know what the current security measures are now. But I would be surprised if what he reported is the current security measures, because I would have imagined that if Yang Dingxin has had these sort of thoughts for a while, he would have requested, stronger security measures or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Now that's a good point, guys. Now I cannot confirm whether this is true or not, but apparently Yang Dingxin had raised concerns with the CWA. Like I imagine would be right after his game or after Li Xuanhao's game versus Shin Jinseo. He already raised it with potentially the authorities, and he got knocked back, and that's why he got really angry and decided to post on social media.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah, but that's unconfirmed. It's just hearsay.
Unconfirmed.
Yeah. But the other thing is, some people were speculating that because Li Xuanhao has been such hot form and it's taken over number 2 in China, and because they're teammates, that actually is even harder for Yang Dingxin to take, because of course Yang Dingxin for a long time would be considered the superior player, so he would play in the main player spot. Now his spot would be shaky or even in danger, or maybe even just straight being overtaken by Li Xuanhao. So that could be adding to his jealousy and causing him to act irrationally. So
yes, also worth noting, I recall that they actually turned pro at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
Along with Ke Jie.
Yep.
Yes.
And guess who topped the pro exam that year? It was supposedly Li Xuanhao.
Oh, okay.
And Ke Jie and Yang Dingxin might have got in by the age, the young player path. So they didn't rank as high, but because they were younger, so they got picked.
Yeah,
first.
well, Yang Dingxin was 9 at the time.
Right, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but still, yep. So Gaza, the story is still developing, but that's all the things all the information I was able to gather.
Yes, that's a lot of information. I guess to summarize, obviously Yang Dingxin has confirmed. It's been confirmed that Yang Dingxin made a comment in his friend circle, challenging Li Xuanhao to
20 game series.
20 games without toilet breaks.
Wow.
With the veiled suggestion that he's cheating.
Yeah.
Li Xuanhao hasn't responded. There's no hard evidence.
Yeah.
That Li Xuanhao cheating. And yeah, a few pros liked Yang Dingxin's post, and yeah, this is definitely the most serious cheating accusation ever in Go.
Yeah.
the previous most serious one was Kim Eunji,
Yeah.
which actually was confirmed. In that case, it was confirmed to be true. Kim Eunji thankfully admitted to it. I say thankfully because it's not good that she cheated, but it's at least good that she came clean about it.
Yeah.
She got punished. She was banned for a year. She returned in November last year, and since then she's done her best to make up for lost time.
Basically unstoppable.
Yeah, she's won over 100 games this year alone.
Yes.
That's never been done before by a
Crazy.
professional.
Yep.
Towards the end of this year, she's won 2 titles, and she made the final of another one, the women's Kisung. And in that final, she was faced up against none other than the best women's player in the world, Choi Jeong.
Right. And now, Gaza, before we move on to Kim Eunji and the Kisung, I do want to finish off with a few more hopefully interesting tidbits. Now, a live commenter, I believe it's probably going to pronounce the name really badly, but Dolaye Yosef, he said that he heard that Li Xuanhao doesn't play online games, and that is definitely true. I think Yang Dingxin, in one of his comments during the live stream of the Kifu, also said that, well, Li Xuanhao just trains on his own, doesn't play many games. I don't know. Basically, I guess Li Xuanhao is a bit older at 27, so, and the fact that Li Xuanhao have kind of rocketed up the rating also was potentially part of the factors why people were suspecting him of cheating, because you kind of don't gain strength like that rapidly after you maybe turn 25 or so. Yeah. So, and maybe I'll finish off with the coverage of this whole saga with a reasonably funny story, which is that Tang Weixing, he on Weibo said that, he thought about commenting and saying something, but decided against it for reasons XYZ, and some of the comment fans commented below and says, "Oh, well done. This is a nice tanuki." Yeah. So that was it. Talking about tanukis, potentially Kim Eunji shouldn't have tanukied in his game versus Choi Jeong. Gaza, were you leading up to? Were you gonna talk about the Kisung final between Choi Jeong and Kim Eunji?
I was talking about the Kisung final, but since you deferred to the since you also tanukied to the chat comments, we've got another comment saying that one of our mics, one of us is speaking much louder than the other one. Now I'm assuming that I'm the one that's speaking louder.
Yeah. I think, Gaza, I'm trying my best to address this already. I can see that in the sound bar that we're fairly even now. I think I tweaked a few settings before, but apparently I wasn't so successful.
Yes,
yeah.
We have had these problems in the past where I've been a lot louder than you.
Yeah.
We're doing our best. We don't actually do this pod. We're not in the same room. We're not even in the same city.
Yeah.
We're doing our best to make sure that this is a listenable podcast. But thanks for the comments. And yes, apart from the outside the Chunlan Cup, this was the biggest event of the week. So the second biggest event of the week.
Arguably.
Arguably. But I was definitely looking forward to this one because this is the women's Kisung final. Now, this is a Korean women's major title.
Yep.
All the Korean women compete in this. And Choi Jeong, of course, she's been the number one women's player in Korea for nearly 10 years now.
Yep. Crazy, huh?
Yes. And it's not even close.
Yep.
In terms of rating points, Kim Eunji is considered to be the next great hope, like the next the next big thing in women's Baduk.
Yeah. In fact, she won the Future Empress Cup or something. Yep.
She won the Future Empress Cup maybe a month ago.
Yep.
She also won the Nanxiaoquan tournament.
Yep.
And we've said that before. Neither of those featured Choi Jeong. The first one because Choi Jeong was too old, and the second one,
Right.
I don't know why Choi Jeong didn't compete in the Nanxiaoquan, but she didn't.
Right.
But this one, the women's Kisung, Choi Jeong most certainly did. It's one of the biggest women's tournaments in Korea, so she'd definitely be competing. Kim Eunji was also competing, and they both made the final. And this is the first time there's a final between Choi Jeong and Kim Eunji.
Yep.
The Baduk Empress versus perhaps her heir apparent.
Yep.
And I was looking forward to this.
Yep. And it was a best of 3. And in game 1, so basically it's very interesting because there was a post on the Baduk subreddit saying that this move or the whole sequence that was played by Choi Jeong was not seen by AI. Apparently, it was a regurgitation of one of the pro commentators said in one of the Korean Baduk channels.
So the game that you're referring to, this is game 1.
Game 1.
This is game 1 of the women's Kisung final, which is a best of 3. So you have to win 2 out of 3.
Yep. So in this one, Choi Jeong is black. Kim Eunji is white. So you can see here, so Kim Eunji kind of left this white group here, unattended, and she peeped here. So
the Tanuki.
She Tanuki'd, but little did she know that this white group is supposedly already dead, and this is the move for Choi Jeong to kill Kim Eunji.
Now, by the way, when you mean already dead, you mean that white could have lived if she didn't
White could have lived if she didn't Tanuki. So, but Choi Jeong didn't give Kim Eunji a chance. Choi Jeong noticed the kill sequence and initiated it. So now there's no way for this white group to live, which is a bit surprising because it does look like there's a lot of room, but it's basically
not to my Q observations.
Yeah.
If I was white, I'd be a bit worried. I definitely wouldn't have Tanuki'd here.
Yeah.
But I'm a bad player, so
but that would probably have been the right decision. But but look at what was actually happened. So this whole white group was dead.
That looks.
Yeah. So that was not good. Obviously, no surprise there. Kim Eunji ended up losing this game.
Now there's no coming back, I guess.
No. I think
so
the game.
She resigned at this point.
No, the game continued on for quite a bit, but really there was not much that White can do, unless of course White managed to kill, like for example, this whole black group, which probably doesn't look that likely.
Which ended up not happening.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. So they ended up playing game 2 the second day.
Yes, so game 1 was on the Monday, was it? Yes, it was, and then game 2 was on the Tuesday.
Yeah.
The very next day. Yeah.
Now, I didn't look at this Kifu in depth, but I do remember glancing at the live game commentary and looking at the AI bar. Now, at some point, Kim Eunji was doing quite well. So in this game, Kim Eunji is black, Choi Jeong is white. So I think at some point, black ended up almost capturing all of these white stones. So we look at this position. Obviously, black's got these 3 stones captured. This white stone, I mean, obviously they're not fully alive yet. So at this point, actually, AI says that Kim Eunji is quite ahead. So Kim Eunji, now notice that white's stone on the outside, it's got a lot of cutting points. So apparently, the idea for Kim Eunji is to kind of get some sort of sente. And then Atari here. If Kim Eunji managed to get Sente in this area and Atari here, then white have to connect. Then black can take this one stone, therefore making this whole black group very thick. And of course, black's already got like almost 4 corners basically. So all black really needs to do is kind of just make this center strong, and black will be in a winning position. But unfortunately for Kim Eunji, even though AI assess her to be, I believe, above 80, if not in the 90% around here, that she kind of just maybe play a bit too slow and lost Sente. And then Choi Jeong, I can only say she had this really masterful display here. She kind of knew exactly where to play, but it seems like Kim Eunji didn't, or she did, but she somehow chose a sequence that got her gote. And not only that, and this is kind of like, to me, I really don't understand this, because Kim Eunji, again, this is very masterful by Choi Jeong. When Kim Eunji Tari here, she just said, nope, I'm not gonna do anything here. I'm just gonna try and connect my groups together. Yeah, I really don't understand what's happening here. Like, Kim Eunji just decided to start this hopeless co. I can't understand it. But she basically has to win this to save this black group now, which is quite painful. But anyway, it wasn't a good story for black. So Choi Jeong just played really beautifully, let black go back, and she just have to kind of live over here, and she's got this Hushu territory, capture some of black stones. So it wasn't a good day for Kim Eunji. And I guess I think I can't remember if we mentioned this, but what was the Kim Eunji's record versus Choi Jeong's before this game?
So before this match, it was 6-0 in favor of Choi Jeong.
Right.
Kim Eunji had never beaten Choi Jeong before.
And basically she also lost game 1 and game 2 as well. So which means that it's gone
8-0, which is
unbelievable.
It is quite remarkable, even for Choi Jeong, to lose 8 in 8 against Choi Jeong. Kim Eunji is a good enough player to be able to win one of those games, but perhaps it's still some sort of mental barrier, maybe like Shin Jinseo's early
records versus Ke Jie?
Against Ke Jie, exactly. Yes. Right. Shin Jinseo obviously has completely overcome those mental blocks. Now, but Kim Eunji, she will win a game against Choi Jeong eventually. It's inevitable.
Well, it's bound to happen. I mean, it cannot.
But it's bound to happen. But clearly not this week.
Not this week.
So Choi Jeong, she wins another title, the women's Kisung. She's won it before. I think she was she the reigning women's Kisung? I'm going to quickly check right now. And it was Oyu Jin. Jin, that's right. Oyu Jin beat Choi Jeong in December last year, 2-0. So Choi Jeong's won it back. Thoroughly deserved, of course. Big congrats to her. I don't know how many titles she's won now.
Probably
considered. It's in the 20s.
And
I'll
basically,
see if I can I'm just going to quickly check. I think it's
while you're checking, Gaza, there's a question about which AI was used to assess that Choi Jeong's move was not seen by AI. I believe it was just the one that was used on Baduk TV. So I honestly don't know what it is, or how many iteration it is.
My guess is that it's fine art. My guess is that Baduk TV uses fine art.
Right. So I think the version of fine art that's kind of available to everybody, that uses very little, not many. What do you call it? Rollouts.
Playouts.
Play out.
I've heard from a pro. That the AI used on Baduk TV is not the strongest.
Right.
He mentioned that when discussing. And I do recall the game. It was the Korea's strongest title match last year.
Right.
Between Shin Jinseo and Park Chun-hwan.
Right.
Game 5.
Right.
Which was an absolutely phenomenal game. Where Shin Jinseo made a move in a capturing race that the AI just didn't see for and what was great is that Park Chun-hwan spent 20 or 25 minutes thinking about it, and you could see the AI change
Right.
from Park Jun-hwan's favor to Shin Jinseo's favor without a move being played.
Right.
Because
Crazy.
because it didn't see that it took so long to find the move. So that does happen.
Yeah.
But obviously when the Baduk TV AI, I don't think is super strong. But regardless of how strong an AI is, if you make a move that the AI doesn't see for a while, it's a pretty good move.
Pretty good move, yeah.
And it's always impressive.
Yeah.
And I I did a little bit of research. That seems to be Choi Jeong's 24th title all up.
Very nice. Very nice.
24th career title. That's quite a collection that she's got.
100%.
Yeah, and well done to her. She's finishing the year extremely strong after having a bit of a shaky start with not winning the Senko Cup, not winning the Weixing Cup, losing
Hoban Cup
immediately in the Hoban Cup, and also losing in the IBK Cup to Jeong Yujin. A few uncharacteristic losses, but the way she's finished this year has been
phenomenal.
Quite phenomenal,
Making the final of a Samsung Cup is just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
Now, Gaza, if I'm talking about a player with many titles, we're going to talk about a player with not so many titles, but that player is Hirata Tomoya. He's only ever won one title, I believe, in Japan.
I believe, actually, you may be incorrect there. I'm just going to quickly check because I think that he's won 2.
Right. He might have won maybe like a Rookie King kind of title.
You could be right there.
Young
he
Cup or something?
He has won the Young Cup. Yes,
yeah, he's won the Young
Cup. He
won
won the
yes.
Young Cup 3 years ago.
Yep.
He may have actually been the last male player to win the Young Cup.
Yeah. We'll cover that.
But of course, the title that we're all thinking of is the Agon Kiriyama Cup that he won this year against Iyama. We did report on it, of course.
And of course, there's a mirror version of this tournament in China called the Ahan Tongshan Cup. Basically, that was won by Li Qingcheng. We covered that last week. He beat Xuanhao. So basically, this is very innovative in that they determined the Chinese winner, and whoever it was played the Japanese winner the next day in the Agon Kiriyama China-Japan Challenge.
Yes, and I believe we reported on Li Qingcheng's win in the last podcast. But the thing is, we recorded the podcast on the same day that he won.
Right.
So the China-Japan Agon Cup Challenge hadn't been played yet.
No.
It was being played on the Saturday. We recorded it on a Friday.
Right.
So now the game has been played. And who won?
No surprise there. It's Li Qingcheng. Now, we didn't check the Li Qingcheng versus Tomoya, Hirata Tomoya, their playing records. But apparently, they have only played once before.
I'm honestly surprised that they've even played once before.
Yeah, well, they have. And the victor in that case was actually Hirata.
And, really? What was the tournament?
I can't remember the name of it now. Might be some kind of maybe new talent challenge or something. Maybe it wasn't even official, but I have to look it up. But now, there was something that was very, very interesting that Hirata Tomoya mentioned about Li Qingcheng. He obviously remembers playing Li Qingcheng, and this is the detail that he gave. He said, when I was in Byoyomi, he looked up and Li Qingcheng still had an hour and 40 minutes left. And this is in a 2-hour game, right? This is in a 2-hour game. So this I mean, it's no joke. Li Qingcheng plays really fast. So of course in that instance, it didn't really matter because Hirata actually won the game. But in this one, Hirata wasn't able to win. So Li Qingcheng ended up winning 5 million yen, which is actually quite decent. I do believe some of the major titles like Judan or whatever are only like 7 or 8 million yen, something like that. And Hirata got 2 million yen for his efforts, which is pretty decent. But
pretty decent considering you know, he actually he already won a ton of money for winning the Agon Kiriyama
I think
Cup.
it's like 10 million they won.
Yeah, 10 million, and then you get 2 million for losing.
Yeah, one game.
So basically, if you win the Agon Kiriyama Cup, you're guaranteed 12 million yen.
Yeah, which is actually pretty decent compared to some of the major titles.
That's decent. Yeah, that's more than some of the major titles.
Now, I don't remember looking at the game too much, but I do believe it was what's referred to as a total victory for Li Qingcheng. So even though he played
it was a very convincing win by Li Qingcheng.
Yeah.
I followed the game, but I followed it with AI, of course, and the AI didn't
like Hirata.
Yeah, didn't like Hirata, and
Gaza, maybe
and something that I also noticed, it is an hour-long game.
Yeah.
Li Qingcheng still had 20 minutes at the end. Hirata Tomoya was in Byoyomi for mini moves.
Yeah. And I just remember watching the pro commentary, and basically after this Joseki, so Li Qingcheng is white here, Hirata is black. So after this Joseki, the pro commentary already says that it's better for white, just because that white's chosen to take some territory, and also now after what white has done, this black wall is now basically facing a strong white wall. So this kind of becomes less useful, and so even by this point, the Chinese commentary team have already said that it's better for Li, which is quite crazy. So anyway, Li just played reasonably well, and there was really no chance in for Hirata. But I did notice a very interesting detail which I wanted to understand, which is that when they started fighting this code, so when Li Qingcheng tries to use this code thread, Hirata took right away, and I couldn't decide whether taking that or taking this stone was better, or which one is clearly superior. But apparently, this was the wrong choice for Hirata, even though he's kind of captured these stones here. It was basically the wrong choice, and I just find that really hard to assess. No, I don't know if you have any opinions on that, Kaza.
It is, it is hard to judge, but I can see the strength in the bottom left now. Those 3 black stones on the bottom are very weak.
Yeah. These ones. Yeah. But whatever the story was, I guess it really Hirata was. It seems like it wasn't gonna be a good match for Li. Li just quite a bit stronger. That's how I feel about this. But hey, 1-1. So that's the Agon Kiriyama Cup won by Li.
The China-Japan Agon Cup.
Agon, China-Japan Challenge.
Yes.
So Gaza, now that we've talked about Hirata, let's move to another competition in Japan called the second Teikei Cup. We just want to give a quick update on this competition.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we gave a preview for this. I think we gave a little bit of a preview.
Yeah, I think we did talk a little bit about it. Yeah.
Yes, but it's essentially an under 25 tournament.
Yep.
Very new. The sponsor, the Teikei or whoever they are, they've come out with 3 tournaments. One for seniors called the Legends Cup.
Yep.
One for women, and this one is for under 25s.
Right.
And it doesn't feature. So the 3 crows, Sushawan, Ichiriki Ryo, and Shibano Torimaru, they're all under 25. But one of the other stipulations is that if you've won the Teikei Cup before, you're not eligible to compete anymore. So Sushawan won the first edition.
Yeah.
So he's not competing in this one.
Yeah, Gaza, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because if I look at the Nihon Keen page, right, I really don't know if this is actually accurate or not. Maybe someone who's got better Japanese knowledge can tell me. But if I read this, it says the winning player cannot participate in the next season. So does that mean that Xu Chaoyuan can play in the next one? Don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps.
Obviously, if we'll see what happens when the third edition.
Or maybe he's actually older than 25 by then, so yeah, maybe he won't either way.
I don't think he would be.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how old Su Shaowan is. Let me see if I can.
I thought he would be something like Ke Jie's age or something, but anyway, yeah.
You know what? He was born. Oh my god! It's actually his birthday today.
Oh, damn.
He turns 25 today.
Oh, wow, too bad for him. He's not gonna participate, not being able to play no matter what.
Okay.
Maybe.
No. Well, as long as if you players under the age of 25 as of April 1st of the qualifying year.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm not sure if you have to be under 25 or if being exactly 25 is fine.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll never understand the rules.
Yeah.
But in any case, he's not competing in this one.
Yeah. No.
So everyone that was eligible tried to qualify for this, and there are 12 qualifiers, and they're split into two
groups,
leagues of 6 players.
Yep.
And these leagues are single round robin, and the games are long, well, fairly long in that they're 2 hours each.
Right.
They're not fast games, but they play all of the games over the span of a week.
Yeah, very, very quick. Yeah.
Like, let me see if I can. When was the first game was played on the 17th?
17th, and then the last game was on the 22nd.
On the 22nd.
There's a day in between that's a game free, which is the 20th.
Yes, so they play 5 games over 6 days.
Yeah.
Which is, not really typical of the leagues in Japan. For instance, the Kisei League, they play about 1 game a month.
Yeah.
And the Meijin League and the Honinbo League are similar.
Yeah.
But for this one, I'm guessing the sponsors they probably designed the tournament to be like this.
Yeah.
Now, it's single round robin, and the winner of each league goes to the final.
Yeah.
And if you're second to 6th, tough luck. If you come second, you may as well be 6th because everyone has to qualify. If you want to compete next season, you have to qualify again.
Yep.
You don't there's no seeds or anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, surprise, surprise, Shibano and Ichiriki won their leagues.
Yep.
In this
surprise.
Case, yes, they actually won it with a game to spare. So the final game was on the 22nd, but they'd already secured their spot in the final.
Because every other player in the league had at least 2 losses by then.
Had at least 2 losses, yes.
So it's pretty even league.
Shibano and Ichiriki ended up with a clean sweep, 5 wins, no losses.
Yeah.
Now, the final isn't going to be played this year. I don't think so.
No.
In the first edition, the final was played a couple of months later. That's likely going to be the case here as well. And it is best of 3 final.
Correct. Yep.
And whoever wins is the champion, and they get a bit of cash.
Yeah, 10 million won. That's actually higher than some of the
10 million,
major.
10 million yen.
Yeah, that's pretty decent.
That's crazy. That's the same as the Agon Kiriyama Cup.
Correct. Now, just maybe quickly go over some of the placings. So, like for example, in League A, we have Shibano Toramaru with 5-0. Otakeyu on 3-2 record. He's got 3rd place. Nishi Takenobu, I can't remember where I've seen him before, but somewhere. He's on 5th place, maybe in the semi-final of some Judan or something. Yoshiki Abe, he's gone Dark Egg 05, 6th place. Yuki Sakai, the Rookie King. He's done pretty well. 3 wins, 2 losses, 2nd place.
So he got 2nd place.
Right.
Yes. But like I said, 2nd place and 6th place get the same benefits.
Damn it. And then for Kokwa Kotaro, it's 4th.
The Globus Cup runner-up.
Yep. So 2 out of 3. Now in League B, this is where the big guns come out because, of course, Ichiki Ryo 5-0, number 1. But Seki Kotaro, current Tengen, only managed 2-3 and finished third place, same as Fujisawa Arena on third place. And then you got and the second placer was Yasuyuki Tanaka. I've never heard of him.
Honestly, never heard of this guy before.
Yeah. And then of course you got two also runs.
He's Kansai Ken.
Right.
He's Kansai.
Wataru Muramoto and
Taro
Miura.
Miura.
Yeah.
He is also a young player. He was in that youth team with Yuki Sakai and Nakamura Sumire.
Right.
You remember that tournament?
Oh yes.
With Taiwan, Korea, and China. Yes.
Yeah.
This was pre-podcast, I think.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no. Taro Miura is a player with potential.
Okay.
But yeah, Ichiriki and Shibano, far superior, the superior players.
Yeah.
In this tournament, Ichiriki perhaps getting a little bit of revenge on Seki Kataro, winning in the first round.
Yep.
But yeah, obviously it's going to be a great final, and not only are they meeting in this final, they're also meeting in the Kisei.
Yeah, that will be something to look forward to. Yeah.
Yeah, a battle that perhaps many of the Japanese Go fans have been looking forward to.
Yep.
This will be the Kisei one. Will be the first big final between these two players in an open tournament.
Yeah.
It's going to be great stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
But yeah, that's the Teikei Cup. Very no surprises, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a bit of a
but
steady as you go.
That doesn't mean it's boring.
Yeah. Hopefully not.
And yeah, we'll obviously I don't know when the finals are going to be. It doesn't say on this website.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like the finals have been scheduled yet.
Yep.
But it's probably not going to be for at least a month.
All right. So let's see what happens with that. Now, Gaza, from one competition with the league to another competition with the league, we have a minor update or correction, or whatever you want to call it, for the Dr.G.
Yes. So we did mention the Dr.G last week, and the how it finished. Now you've got the table up there, which is great. So let's focus on this.
Yeah.
Now, as we mentioned in the Dr.G, after everyone plays their 7 games, the top 2 will play off in a final. So it doesn't matter if you finish first or second.
Yep.
The top 2 play in the final. And here, there is a clear top 2. Qincheng and Choi Jeong have 5 wins each. Yep. Everyone else has less than 5 wins.
Yep.
So they're the top 2.
Yep.
And so they will play in a best of 5 final, which will start next year.
Yep.
But the other... there is something else that needs to be sorted out, and that is something that I'm still confused about.
Yeah.
Now, I think that 3rd and 4th place keep their spot in the league for next year, for next season. So it's similar to the Meijin and the Honinbo leagues in Japan. If you win the league, you can challenge for the title, but otherwise, if you finish high enough, you keep your spot. And if you finish too low in the table, you have to requalify. So that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Players that finish, at a certain position don't need to requalify for next season. And I believe that it's 3rd and 4th place,
right?
Along with whoever loses the final. Well, the 2 finalists and 3rd and 4th place get to keep their spot. That's what I believe is the case.
Right.
This is in the first season last year of this tournament. Only the top 3 got to keep their spot, but I believe it's the top 4 now.
Yeah.
Now the confusing obviously the issue here, if you look at this table, after the first and second, there are 4 players on 4 wins.
Yeah.
So that is 3rd to 6th place. So if my understanding is right, and the top 4 get seeds, that means only 2 of these 4 players will get a seed. And then the question is, what are the tie breaks? How do we determine who the seed is?
Yeah.
Now, I assumed that they start by looking at head-to-head between the tied players. Yeah. And if that's the case, Hyo So-hyun she won all of her games against the other players on 4 wins, so she would be considered third.
Yeah.
Now that I've confirmed to be incorrect. It turns out the tiebreaker of head-to-head is only used if there are 2 players tied on the same score. It has to be exactly 2 players. In this case, there are 4 players on this score, so head-to-head isn't used at all. So Hyo So-hyun isn't guaranteed third place.
No.
So apparently, what happens is that there's a playoff.
Yep.
A playoff to eliminate 2 of these 4 players. Now, to make it even more complicated, even more confusing, one of these players is Park Ji-yeon.
Yep.
And she announced her retirement. She announced during this league that she was going to retire at the end of it.
Yep.
So her professional career essentially finished after her last game. And she was one of the first to play all 7 of her games. So she obviously had no idea that, there was going to be this sort of situation at the end of the league when she'd finished. So she's retired. So she's essentially been withdrawn from the playoff.
Yeah.
So there are 3. So essentially there's 3.
3 left. Yep.
And I believe that they're playing off for 2 spots.
Right.
What I do know is that over the next week, Hyo So-hyun has been scheduled to play Kim Eunji, and the winner of that game will then play Oh Yoo-jin.
Correct.
But I don't know what happens after that.
Now, Gaza, there could be another explanation of this, because I was under the impression that from what I read on Weibo is that instead of having 2 places available, there's only 1, as per last year. So what that means is that after the winner of Hyo So-hyun and Kim Eunji is determined, that player will play with Oh Yoo-jin, and whoever wins that will get the last spot to be able to remain in the league. So
yes,
I was under the impression that that's what I read, and that's why maybe the schedule is like that. But I'm not 100% sure.
If it's the case that only the top 3 in the league get to keep their spots, then yes, it would that would make sense that you would have the winner playing the final player.
Yeah.
But I was definitely under the impression that this season the top 4 get to keep their spots.
I guess we'll find out.
We will find out. I will probably try to confirm this with some people that I know who have some connections in the pro scene.
Yeah.
I was going to ask them this week, but honestly, I just didn't feel that it was important enough to find out these details, because the games are going to be played next week anyway, so we'll probably find out by then. What we do know is that Hyo So-hyun is going to be playing Kim Eunji, and the winner of that will be playing Oh Yoo-jin. So basically, I just wanted to. I did want to clarify that Hyo So-hyun isn't guaranteed a seed spot. She does have to play off for it, just like Kim Eunji and Oh Yoo-jin.
Now, Gaza, we did call this competition the Dr.G, but I do believe Dr.G is just a sponsor. Now, someone in the comments...
Dr. G is the sponsor, yes.
Yeah, someone in the comments says that this competition is called the Supreme Player competition. So, because neither of us are Korean.
I would call it the Korean Women's Strongest.
Right.
That's what I call it.
Okay.
Or something like the Korean Women's Supreme Player.
Right.
Yes, but it's Dr. G is definitely the sponsor.
Right.
And last year, this is actually the second edition of this tournament. Last year, Dr. G was not didn't sponsor this tournament, so it wasn't called the Dr. G tournament last year.
So maybe it might be wise for us to call this the women's strongest in the in the future.
I interchange. I actually, when I put it in the calendar, I call it the Dr. G Korean Women's Strongest Tournament.
Right.
So I put in both, but
I mean,
it can definitely be confusing, because there are sometimes tournaments that are sponsored by the same company. Like the
Right.
Senko Cup has a Japanese version and an international version.
Right.
And I believe that Hoban actually sponsored this tournament last year, so it could have been called the Hoban Cup last year.
Right.
But now there's another Hoban Cup, which
Yeah.
is like the women's Shim Cup. So
Yeah.
it can get confusing if you just use sponsor names.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, 100%. Obviously, we're not against giving the sponsor a plug if they're relevant, because they obviously are sponsoring pro competitions, and if pro competition didn't exist, I guess we wouldn't really exist. This podcast wouldn't exist. So yeah, but so thanks for the info, Gaza. After we've covered the Dr.G, maybe it's time to go for the calendar.
Yes, let's have a look at the calendar. So
Um,
we do have, like I said, we do have those Dr.G playoffs.
Yep.
Hopefully, over that time, it will be clearer just what the scenario is
Yep.
for these playoffs. But just to be clear, these are definitely playoffs for seeds
Yep.
for next year. So even if they don't win the playoff, they can still qualify for the tournament next year.
Yep. Yep.
Through the qualifiers.
Yep.
Right.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
Also, we have the Korean League, the Korean Baduk League starts
On the 28th.
Yes, next
Yep.
week. So
Yep.
that will be good. I don't know which teams are up first, but yeah,
Right.
it's definitely going to be something to look forward to, especially with the Taiwanese and Japanese
Yep.
teams.
Yeah. Those two teams will be the teams that I'll be following. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Other than that, there's the Crown Haiti tournament, which is it's sort of I'm not really sure what this tournament is all about. What I do know is that Shin Jinseo doesn't play in this tournament. There are a lot of players that don't play in this tournament,
Right.
but then there are a lot of strong players that do. Like Byun Sangil, I believe, won it last year. I mean, this year,
Right.
earlier this year. I think he beat Han Songju, maybe. But he I think he's also entering this one, so he'd be the favorite. But Shin Jinseo won't be in this tournament.
Right.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I don't really know if there's much prestige to this tournament or what it's all about. But it is another Korean tournament, and some of the top players will be playing.
Yep. So that's be really interesting. Apart from that, it doesn't look like there's too many big games going on. So yeah, taking a break.
Yes, and I guess next week we'll be having the podcast on the 30th.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Or maybe the 31st, and maybe we can perhaps then we'll have nominations for our podcast awards.
Yeah, nomination for podcast awards. Now, Gaza, we did think up some categories, but I think I might just quickly bring up the categories which I have kept in a in a hidden wiki that we have over here, which is
hidden,
pretty well hidden. We're thinking, or I'll try to put in some nominees, but we might be seeking more in the new year. So I'm thinking about game of the year. I think you mentioned something like disappointment of the year, upset of the year.
Well, I think we've got another disappointment of the year. To be honest, we've just got a new nominee.
Oh yeah. Upset of the year, rising star. A bit iffy about that. Achievement of the year. It's a lot. Oh, this is my favorite.
Bad moves of the year. Is that what it says?
Yeah. This what's it called nowadays? It's called a typo. Is that right? That's right.
Watch out.
Watch out. I'm no idea what you just said there.
Sorry, I'm just learning Chinese. I don't know what that meant.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Excuse your French. Bad move of the year. There's already a couple of candidates. Now we didn't actually cover this one, which is a gem. It's a Yamayuta at the Ryusei. So maybe we'll cover that when we cover the, bad move.
Maybe we can cover that next week.
Yeah.
That's a game that was played in September, but we only found the Kifu just recently. We only found out about this game like last week or something. And it is literally, I've never seen something like this before in a pro game. But That's a
completely
teaser
bizarre.
for next week.
Yeah, completely bizarre. And maybe move of the year. It's not that many candidates yet, but let's see. All right.
I can definitely suggest another one.
Yeah.
I'll put it in later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe if you can just click on the edit button. It's
But
very
yeah, no, we're definitely keen to get suggestions for nominees.
Yeah.
Anything can be suggested. If it's not a good nominee, people just won't vote on it. So
yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. The more nominees, the better. So that's our plans for the new year. So with that, we shall probably it's time to say goodbye, Gaza. Unless you have something burning you want to cover.
I was wondering if we have a Patreon.
Oh yes, no, that's a good point. Now we did start a Patreon page. There's only one possible tier that you can have, which is the supporter tier. And it's a $1 a month, and basically all proceeds will be donated to Go related activities. Currently thinking about the Australian Go Association. So
yeah, so to be clear, the money wouldn't go directly to us. Like we wouldn't spend it on groceries or cheating devices, rectal cheating devices or anything like that. But the idea is that it would go towards things like the Australian Go Association, which and that money would be used to benefit Australian Go players, of which we are in that population. So
because I honestly really don't expect to make millions of
this. You don't have to support, you don't have to give us any money. But people have asked us, inquired about if we had a Patreon in the past, and we open one now. But yeah, honestly, I do want to say a big thanks to everyone that just watches these podcasts, whether you listen to it live, which we've started doing, or whether you just watch it on YouTube or on any service, or even just listen to bits and pieces of it, and tell your friends about it and things like that. It's all really cool. If you do that, we really do appreciate it. And we do enjoy sharing what we learn and find out about the professional scene.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, Gaza, while we're speaking about these awards, there's a few interesting suggestions in the comments, not in the comment, in the chat, about what we could cover in the awards. And we have, I believe this should just be a reversal of the year, Fighting Spirit Award.
AI reversal of the year. Okay.
Right. Okay. Fighting Spirit Award.
Yeah.
Best tournament this year.
Best tournament.
Funniest player. Best TV commentary moment. Most handsome TV commentator of the year. Yeah, some of these would be
most handsome TV.
Most unexpected move. Like some of these would be a little bit hard to research. I don't know how we're gonna dig up all of that stuff, but
interesting. Most creative move.
Yeah, most creative move. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, maybe we could just if there's just something that's happened in the pro scene that's just so bizarre.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just come up with an award for it. Maybe we just come up with a category.
Or just make it up as we go. Make it fun.
Yeah. We haven't thought about this too deeply, but
no, not that I have with most things in life.
I'm particularly keen on this concept.
Yeah.
Of having awards.
Yeah.
It seems cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, any suggestions are always welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for the comments in the chat as well.
Yep. All right, thanks guys for staying with us. I think we might have broken some viewership records today, Gaza. Our peak concurrent viewer count is 8. Believe it or not.
Wow, we're nearly up to double digits.
Double digits, mate.
But it's good. It's good.
Yeah. All right.
And for those of you that do celebrate Christmas, have a good Christmas.
Yep.
Because this podcast was recorded a little bit before Christmas, just a day or two before.
Yep.
Um, and for those that don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you at least have time off
Yep.
from work
Yep.
or have holidays or things like that, and so have good holidays.
Yep.
We're not planning to take a holiday from this podcast, right? We're going to
No,
be we're
we're
going to
going.
be hopefully doing it next week.
Yep.
We've got a streak of 37 weeks. We've had delay a couple. We've had to delay the podcast a couple of times, but we've always managed to
Yep.
still do one a week on average.
Yep. Which is not bad. Not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. With that, Gaza, I guess it's time to really finally say goodbye.
Sounds good.
All
Goodbye.
right. Okay.